Welcome to Livestream, everybody. It's good to be with you. Oh, hang on. There we go. We got to have the bingo card up, don't we? We got to have the bingo card up. If you are playing along at home, generate a bingo card with the link in the... It's pinned in the YouTube chat. It's in the... should be pinned. I thought I already pinned this message. I don't know where it went. Now it's... Well, pin it. Pinned a message. See all pinned messages. Oh, I did pin it. I just don't know where pinned messages are. Okay, great. And Discord. Oh, the little pin icon. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. It's pinned on Discord too. And you can, let's see. Bardwell drinks adult beverage. Not happening. I thought about my wife. My wife doesn't like liquor at all, but occasionally she likes to have drunk liquor for the social effect. And so her general approach is to do shots. I don't mean that my wife just like pounds shots, but like she doesn't, either she wants like a fruity drink where you barely know it's alcoholic, or she just wants like a shot of Jack and just like swig out. She'll before we go to a burn, she'll buy like a 750 milliliter bottle of Jack and she'll just like chug out of it and then good, I'm good. And she was going on a trip and she stopped at a liquor store and she went in and she said to the guy, you know, I don't like liquor at all, but when I drink whiskey and maybe there's something I would like better than Jack. And she said the guy's eyes lit up and he said, ma'am, we have a tasting room in the back. He takes her in the back. He lives for this moment because normally people they walk up to the register, they buy their liquor, they leave. Finally, he lays out a flight of bourbons and whiskeys, and she's like, I'm driving. I'm not going to taste them. I'll smell them. And she tells him what she wants. She wants something that's a little smoother drinking, a little less burn. And he gives her this whiskey from a local Tennessee distillery, a new distillery. It's about a $30 bottle of liquor, not a very expensive bottle of liquor, you know, as premium liquor goes. And it's fine. She brings it home. It's fantastic. I love it. It smells nice. It tastes nice. And she says, great, I bought it for you. I knew, yeah. I'm like, okay. That's the gift of the Magi, right? And I thought about having some of that on the live stream. And then I thought, number one, I decided I wasn't in the mood. But number two, I thought I'll be giving people the bingo card there because Bardwell drinks an adult beverages here on the bingo card. Not today, folks. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's asking what it is. Oh. Can you say what it is?
Blunty, was that you?
That was me.
Yeah, I don't know why you were super quiet there for a minute. What'd you say?
Chat is asking what it is.
Well, shit, dude. That's a reasonable fucking question. Let me see if she sent me a picture of it. Oh, gosh. That's risky. I didn't know that would just pop up on stream. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. All media. She did not send me a picture of it, as far as I can tell. No, I'm sorry. I don't know. Let me see if she'll message me. Okay. Also, as long as we're sharing my chat history, I just want you guys to know I'm for the very, very first time in my life, I'm fermenting. I love Bubby's sour pickles. I love sour pickles. Sour pickles, in case you don't know, they're not made with a vinegar brine. You'd have a salt brine, and then you just leave them on the counter for like a month, and they ferment, and they become delicious. And Bubby's pickles are expensive as hell, and I thought I'm going to make my own. So I did this last night. There's a picture of it in my chat history with my wife. So I've done bread, which is technically fermenting, but it's relatively short-term fermenting. I've never done, so I'm a little scared that it's going to like all go wrong. And my son, my 15-year-old son came down and he was like, didn't you say there's a chance this will go horribly wrong and they'll be ruined? And I said, yep. And he said, that's a lot of cucumbers. Why wouldn't you just start with a small one? And I was like, you go to hell. That's not my style. Anyway, my wife does not have a photo of the whiskey, and unfortunately, I searched it. She told me the name, and I searched it and looked it up. I'm sure of that. It was probably, though, on my phone. I'm going to try just one more second since chat is asking. How do I search? How do I search? Search. Oh, right here. No. Mm-mm. All right, guys. That's it for that. Sorry. We're going to let that go. Anyhow, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the live stream. Let's get questions. Let's get questions. We're going to start answering your questions. Oh, before we answer questions, again, a reminder. So we will not be streaming tomorrow night because I am going to the DARPA Lift Challenge. And I'm going to be broadcasting the DARPA Lift Challenge. So the DARPA Lift Challenge, let's see here. Content. Where's that live stream? Watch the DARPA daily live streams. So the daily live streams actually begin tomorrow. The competition begins tomorrow. Competitors will be flying. The live stream that I'm on doesn't start until the 6th. But you can actually watch the challenges starting tomorrow. I'll put it in the chat in just a second. And you can see people try to do this thing, this very difficult thing. It's very interesting. I'll be very interested to see if anyone has succeeded by the time my part of the broadcast, the actual hosted broadcast. These are just going to be cameras on the lanes, But my part of the broadcast will begin on the 6th. And I'll be very, very interested to see if anyone, hey, there I am, anyone has gotten close to succeeding or maybe succeeded. But definitely check that out. If you're going to Flight Fest, you can actually, it's right next door at the Museum of the Air Force, and it's open to the public. So you can literally just go and show up and watch. I don't know. You walk around, see things. It's kind of cool. So we will not be streaming tomorrow night, though. And we will not be streaming next weekend because I will be on air. I hope you guys will tune in, though. And I will put, here's the playlist. This is a unlisted playlist, but this is all of the DARPA. Oh, Blunty, you may have posted already. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Blunty, it might not surprise you to learn that I got some interesting comments because I'm doing something with DARPA. Some of the comments were, excitement about the project. I'm excited about it because it is just impossible enough that what they're asking you to do, at first you think, I'll speak for myself, I think, well, no one could do that. If anyone could do that, they would already be doing it. And then you think, maybe it's doable. It's just impossible enough that it feels like maybe somebody could do it, but it's not so doable that you're like, oh yeah, I could do that, So it's right in that sweet spot of yeah. So people are excited about the challenge. There were people who were not happy with the potential military application, which anytime you do anything that's even proximal to the military, that's going to happen. And I thought about that before I joined up. But like, I'm not wholly opposed to the military use of anything. If you were to dig down into the specifics, you could find things that you agree or disagree with, and this is not the place to go into that. There are people out there who are wholly opposed to anything that touches the military, and that's their position. That's not a position that I have. My favorite comment was someone who said that this challenge is actually just the government's cover. They said DARPA has already invented this tech, and now they need a cover story to release it to the public. And also, this challenge is made to make our adversaries think our capabilities are less than they really are. Oh, no, we can't possibly do a 4-to-1 payload to weight ratio. No, but secretly DARPA's already invented the tech, and this will be, oh, look, this college team invented this tech. Yes. I was like, okay, well, none of that is in any way provable or disprovable. So, good, cool story, bro. Anyway, I'm excited about it. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I got a signal message. Maybe my wife has chatted me back. Nope. Sorry, guys. You're out of luck on the whiskey. Thank you, Exiled FPV. Good luck and have fun at the DARPA Challenge. I will. Hey, you know who's going to be there? A lot of people are going to be there. Luke Bell is going to be there. Luke Maximo Bell and his dad, who have multiple top speed records, are going to be there competing. He messaged me. Actually, he commented. Did he message me directly? I don't remember. He was like, hey, we're going to be there. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I get to meet Luke Bell. I'm so psyched. All right. Blunty, pick a question for me. Pick a question from the queue. I can't. You need to pick one. Pop it up. I'm ready. I don't even know where to start. Here it comes. Thank you from Batboy 2021. I just got the BIDM. It went away. I just got the BID. Thank you from Batboy 2021. I just got the BID M10. I connected all the wires, but Betaflight doesn't pick up the compass. One weird thing, GPS doesn't turn on in USB power, only battery power. I have the SpeedyBee F405 V4. Okay, so the second part is easy. Not every flight controller will power every 5-volt pad from the USB. So that's just probably your flight controller is not designed to do that. That's not a defect. It's just a design choice, and you're out of luck. If the flight controller has a 3.3 volt, you can sometimes use that, assuming the GPS is rated for 3.3 volts, which they usually are, but not always. So SpeedyBee F405 V4. So the first thing I'm going to look for, can I just get this image up? The first thing I'm going to look for is okay, perfect. Right here. Look right here. Can I zoom in on this? Wait, hang on. Oh, yeah, no. I don't know what you've done. But did I bring up the wrong flight controller? SpeedyBee F405 V4? Okay, this is where you should be putting your GPS. Zoom in. You should be putting your GPS here. This is clearly designed for the GPS. T6, R6, ground 4V5. Oh, wait, but where's... Oh, and there's SDA and SCL. Perfect. Yes, this is clearly designed for the GPS. This is where your GPS should go. You've got a UART, you've got an I2C, and you've got a 4V5 pad. That's tailor-made for the GPS. This 4V5 pad should power up from USB. I'm going to guess that you have put the GPS somewhere else. You put it on a 5-volt pad. The 5-volt pads don't power up from USB. That's what the 4V5 designation is for. And the presence of the I2C clearly indicates that this is intended for the GPS. So That's why it doesn't power up, and that's how to fix that. Now, as far as the compass not getting picked up, that's a tougher one. Like, the flight controller has SDA and SCL. I'm going to assume you put SDA to SDA and SCL to SCL. Double check the wiring, obviously. At that point, if it doesn't pick it up, what I would do is I would flash to an earlier version of Betaflight. That's not a permanent fix. It's just troubleshooting. Sometimes, especially if you're on a release candidate, if you're trying to flash 2026.6, sometimes the driver's support is a little messed up in a new version of Betaflight, and flashing to an old version makes it work. So I would go back even as early as, like, how early does this target go?
I don't think you can see 4.4 and earlier anymore.
Yeah, and here's F405 V5, but he's got the V4. Is that right, Plenty? Which version does he have?
Yes.
F405 V4. So what target is the V4? SpeeDB F405 V4. So how far back can I go? Oh, easy though. Okay, so here's your SpeeDB F405 V4 target. I would flash back to 2025.12.1. And if that doesn't work, flash back to 455. And you could even flash back to 443, I suppose. But the idea here is, if you flash 455 and it works, you know your wiring is correct and the problem is in Betaflight. You got me? If you flash all the way back to 443 and it doesn't work, probably the problem is in your wiring, not in Betaflight. And that's what we're trying to figure out. I understand that's going to be a little bit time consuming, but there have been enough times when, like, a barometer or a compass doesn't work that I think it's not out of the question that it's a target problem. So what else do you have to do? There's an option here for magnetometers. What does the magnetometers option do, Blunty? We've looked this up before. Do you remember? I don't remember.
At one point it did all the mags, and at one point it didn't do all the mags, and I don't remember which way it works now. At one point you had to include all the individual mags if you wanted them, and at one point you didn't, and I don't remember which is the case currently.
Betaflight's build system must include magnetometers from the drop-down in the cloud build or deuse mag for local builds. What? This doesn't seem right. That it doesn't support mags at all unless you add the magnetometers option. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the feature, right?
Well, I guess I don't know. Okay, so in that case, if you didn't include the magnetometers option, I guess I haven't done Betaflight with a magnetometer in a long time. Most of the stuff I've done recently with magnetometers has been iNav. Maybe that's it. Excuse me. Something's pollinating. I have to get back on my nasal spray.
That page you're on lists ones that were included automatically.
But only if you do the magnetometers option.
Correct.
Right?
You have to do the magnetometers option. But what I'm curious about is which ones are included, or which ones do you have to use mag with the name of the magnetometer, right? Because some of them you have to include the name, and some are built in.
Well, I would
if you have
think,
a weird mag.
I would think that if you do magnetometers, it includes all of them. And then if you did -deuse mag, it does just one specific one. But that magnetometers should work. So he's got the BID M10. Does it say what mag chip it uses? IST 8310. Yep, IST 8310. Oh, the orientation. Oh my gosh! When I tested the newbie drone, the little newbie drone 1S with the 18650, the compass orientation was screwed up. And I called it out. And now look at this. Interesting. Okay, so you have the IST 8310 number. Okay, so let's wrap up. make sure you flashed with magnetometers support enabled. Otherwise, it won't work. And then number 2, pay attention to this note in the Betaflight magnetometer. Pay attention to this note because there are things you need to do to make it work. Is he in the Discord? No, he's in the YouTube chat. I can't paste this to him in the YouTube chat. Okay? Pause, screenshot, whatever. All right. Hopefully we solved your problem. Ooh, that was fun.
Yaros in the Discord points out, and if you read that note, at the bottom of the note, it also states it, but you may need to change the I2C address to make it connect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I squared C.
I squared C. Let's see here. Would you buy a pair of Eachine EV300D for $120? I know they have latency issues, but some people say that the firmware update fixes it. Eachine EV300D. What did I call out as being a deal breaker about?
Folks,
Hi, Bardwell from the past.
common wisdom as a YouTuber is that you put the thing people most want to see last in the video so that they watch the...
Oh, man. My room was so different back then. So much has changed. And yet so much is the same.
whole video, and that's good for YouTube's analytic. Most curious. Bob, when he first got these goggles, he guesstimated the latency of the goggles at 300 milliseconds. But he said that's not scientific. That's just a seat of the pants measurement. Then Painless 360 and also, I believe, Albert Kim separately tested that latency and found that latency to be around 100 to 120 milliseconds.
Okay, so when you talk about latency, you're not just talking about Nils Vo saying 35 milliseconds latency is a deal breaker, complaining about latency, which I think you could debate that question as to whether that matters to you. But 150 to 200 milliseconds of latency is an absolute deal breaker. Do not buy. I don't know whether a firmware update fixed it. Let's see if AI can tell us. Here. When the EV300D goggle came out, its latency was measured over 150 milliseconds. Has that been fixed in a firmware update? Let's see. I mean, I could web search this, but...
One person in chat says they have been fixed. They use them and they're great.
Well, I would believe that over the AI. If we could pick a... Oh, look, it's my own goggle. It's my own... it's my own video. Thanks, Claude. Here's my name. Love it. I would say that is a fantastic price. Okay? And if the latency has been made reasonable, then you should absolutely buy them for that price. That's a fantastic price for a set of binocular-style analog goggles. Let's see here. USB firmware update February 2020. PAL cameras, 43 milliseconds is still pretty bad. 100 milliseconds on NTSC after the update. That is not true. Most people in the US don't run NTSC, not FPV pilots. That is, ignore that line. AI is full of shit there. There are several different versions of the update firmware. Eachine latest release February 2020. Did I comment on this? Did I test this? No. I don't think I commented on the firmware update. So Claude is mistaken there. Woof. Okay. There are better options for similar money, not if you're getting it used for $120, $150. What is it? $120. I think for $120, if someone in the chat says that they use them and they like them, then probably $120 is too good of a price to ignore. But even if it got lowered to 45 milliseconds, that's still not great. So 120 bucks. The thing is, you probably could resell them for 120 bucks if you don't like them. So, whoa, says Captain Bry. Captain Bry, are you full of shit, dude? Are you messing with me? Do we not run NTSC over PAL for latency? NTSC has a higher frame rate by it's like 29.97 frames per second versus 24. It's basically 30 versus 25 frames per second. So yeah, theoretically, it's slightly lower latency, but I think you're joking with me. MJM5150 asks, I keep seeing fixed 5.8 gigahertz outdoor antennas on Amazon as I basically only fly around my own property. Is it possible to mount one of these on my roof for better all-around reception for walk snail? So there's two problems with this. The first problem is that walk snail uses multiple antennas, so you would need an array of four of them to use walk snail, not just one. Okay. The second problem, but that's a problem that can be solved with money. The second problem is that when you remote mount an antenna, you have to run coaxial cable from the radio to the antenna. And that coaxial cable has significant loss. Either you buy a big, fat, thick coax cable, and that keeps the loss minimum, or you have to mount the radio near the antenna. So the smart way to do it is that the radio is at the top of the mast. You have an Ethernet cable going into the radio, for example, and the Ethernet cable has a 100-meter max distance, so that's no big deal. And then the radio is connected to the antenna with a 1-meter length of coaxial cable, and that keeps the coax length as short as possible. Well, you can't do that with the walk snail goggles. You wouldn't mount the walk snail goggles at the top of a mast and then run an HDMI cable down the mast. I mean, you could do that, but then how would you like interact with the goggles to change channels and stuff? You couldn't. So the main problem is going to be that if you buy coaxial cable that is a reasonable thickness, it's going to be relatively high loss, and you're going to need to keep the distance relatively short. So at the top of your house, let's say that's 20 feet. Okay. Let's say it's 20 feet to the top of your house. Let's say you have a 1-story house. It's 20 feet above the top of your house, roughly. And let's say very generously that you're standing right next to the mast, right? You're up against the side of your house, right? 5,800 megahertz, LMR. Well, I don't know. You tell me the loss. Okay, here we go. 20 feet. LMR 400. Decibels per feet. Calculate. What is... I don't know what K1 and K2 is. Calculate. There we go. Thank you. So LMR 400 is going to be 2 dB over a 20-foot length. Now, that's not bad. For perspective, about 3 dB is about a 40% reduction in range. But you could argue that you're making that up by elevating the antenna. So you're losing 2 dB down the cable, and you're gaining it back and more by raising the antenna above the roof line. Except, hang on. LMR 400 cable. Where is the physical specifications? Electrical construction specifications, outer conductor, overall braid jacket, 10 millimeters. So it is almost a half an inch in diameter, 10 millimeters in diameter. LMR 400 is relatively thick and relatively heavy. So you would run LMR 400 down the mast, and then you would have an end connector, and you would have a little SMA pigtail that goes to your goggles. And you'd be looking at 3 or 4 dB of loss probably all in. That's how I would approach that. If you start choosing smaller LMRs, like LMR 195, let me recalculate that. LMR 195, we've got 6 dB. Almost done here. I know the chat is riveted. LMR 195, 4 millimeters. So it's it's about a 1/4 inch in thickness. It's much more bendable. It's much less stiff, but it has significantly higher loss. 6 dB of loss is half the range. 6 dB of loss literally halves your range. Yeah, Blenty.
Chad is asking, why wouldn't you just use a Lockstone module up by the antenna and then rain HDMI down?
How will you reach the joystick to change channels? How will you bind it? You have to have access to the Walksnail module.
Sure. I don't know. It seems a lot better than losing half the range.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But you have to solve that problem. So if you choose to remote mount a module, which is the correct way to do it, you would need a weatherproof box. If you're going to have a permanent installation, right? You need a weatherproof box. You need a power source. So you have to run power up the pole, which again is not a solvable problem. But the main thing that is difficult to solve is you have to have access to the bind button. You have to have access to the joystick to change channels and bind it. Or you have to bring the thing down the pole. You have to take the pole down and lower it down every time you want to bind a new thing. So like that's not really feasible. I wouldn't consider that to be an acceptable solution. Okay. I would need access to the box at the bottom of the pole, which to me is sort of non-negotiable. Or I would need a way to remotely activate the joystick and remotely activate the bind button. And then perhaps it could be made to work. So, yeah.
Couple things.
Yeah.
One is people were just confused because you use shorthand because we all know how it works. But basically, 3 dBm is 2x power.
Correct.
And that's 1.4x range because it's square law.
Yep. So just to cap that, 3 dB is 1.4x the range. 6 dB is 2x the range because it's, as you said, it's the inverse square law. Go ahead, Blenty.
Yeah, a lot of people in chat are like, I would just drop the mast and bring the mast back up, or use some kind of pulley.
If that works for you, then awesome. That would absolutely work. That's what you could do. If every time I had to bind a new bird, I had to take a 20-foot mast off my roof, that would not be acceptable to me.
The other question is there any way to do this with like some kind of powered amp, or like you have to have the amp on the other side, like, right? Like how would it work? Is there any way to do that?
Amplifiers, the problem with amplifiers is that receive amplifiers don't work. Now, hang on. Transmit amplifiers are fine. Because with a transmit amplifier, I have a radio. Let's say the radio puts out 100 milliwatts. 100 milliwatts goes, let's say I have 100 milliwatts radio. Okay, so that is 20 dBm. And let's say my noise floor is like negative 70 dBm. So I have this massive link margin between 20 and negative 70, okay? 90 dB. The signal goes from the radio up to the amplifier, okay? By the time it hits the amplifier, it's gone from 20 dBm down to like 12 dBm, maybe, in an extreme case, like a really long run of coax. I still have a huge link margin, right? And so then the amplifier amplifies that signal. And here's the thing. The amplifier amplifies both the noise and the signal. So the key characteristic of an amplifier is that an amplifier doesn't change your signal to noise ratio. It only changes your absolute amount of power, which is fine because I have plenty of signal to noise ratio coming into the amplifier and I just want more power coming out of it. So coming into the amplifier, the noise is say negative 90. The signal is, say, whatever I said, plus 10, let's say. And so coming out, then, the signal is like 30 dBm. And We boost the noise by the same amount, but that's okay because boom, out it goes. And then everything gets weaker, okay, as it transmits. And what happens is that the amplified noise falls back down below the ambient noise floor by the time the signal gets to the receiver. The signal stays strong. It gets weaker, 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 gets to the receiver. And at the receiver, we have a new signal to noise ratio, which is the incoming signal and the receiver's ambient noise level. So on the transmit side, an amplifier is essentially purely beneficial. But on the receive side, it doesn't work like that. On the receive side, the signal comes in, and let's say the signal is really weak. Let's say the signal is at negative 87 dBm, and our noise floor is at negative 90. So we only have a 3 dB signal to noise ratio. The receiver then amplifies that inbound signal, and it amplifies both the noise and the signal. So now we have a strong signal, but we also have a shitload of noise, and our signal to noise ratio is still only 3 dBm. So the problem is that on the receive side, the signal is not receivable when it falls below the ambient noise floor, and receive amplification cannot fix that problem. So, if you're transmitting, you amplify. If you're receiving, there are some generalizations in there. You could find edge cases where what I said isn't true, but in general, fixing a weak receive signal is not solvable just by slapping an amplifier on it. The main time a receive amplifier is useful is if your radio itself has a high noise floor. Not the ambient in the air noise floor, but if you have a shitty radio. And so the noise floor in the environment is, say, negative 120 dBm, but the internal thermal noise floor inside the radio itself is, say, negative 70. Which, just buy a new radio, fix your radio. That's a shitty radio. But what you can do is you can boost the incoming signal and the ambient noise to a level where the signal is above the radio's noise floor and the ambient noise falls below. But that's a rare situation. Yeah. All right. Cool. Boy, that brings me back. Hold on. You know what that brings me back to? I'm going to see if I can find... Oh, that brings me back to the days. Nope. I don't have... Okay, where are... I know I've got pictures of the good old days, but I just don't. You know, people don't know, but I used to do this. That used to be my day job. Yes, that's the album. What album is this from? Can I go to this? No, I want the folder. How do I get this folder? I don't know how to use Dropbox. Go to this folder. Yep. So my day job used to be building, that's my dad, building antenna systems. We were at a port. I don't remember what port it was. I don't have any pictures of myself from this job because I was I was taking pictures. But we were doing a site survey at this port, and you can see here's a radio and coaxial cable going into the radio and so forth. And we were installing these antennas. I wonder, yeah. I don't know how many pictures I have from those days, though. We didn't all have cameras on our phones at the time, you know? Anyway. Yeah. Anyway. Is there no way to send the signal through a different protocol, like Ethernet? Well, yeah, that's why you would do HDMI. Down off, you would have the receiver at the top of the mast next to the antennas, and you have HDMI down. Exiled FPV points out that I haven't been updating my bingo card because I've been so interested in just talking and answering questions. Let's see. Solution is a build flag. Hell yes! I'm giving myself that one for the compass question. That so rarely actually get it. I don't actually think that's it. Is that it? Bardwell watches his own 5+ year old video. I feel like I should get that one for the EV300. I'm tempted to give myself long range FTFO media because of the antenna on a mast question. It's not strictly a long range question, but we talked about link budget and amplifiers. I'm going to give myself that one. I'm going to be generous today. That's it. Let's knock out a couple super chats that have come in. What is your recommendation for analog video standard, NTSC or PAL? Captain Bry asks. So here's the argument people make, and I don't think it actually matters, but NTSC is 30 frames per second, PAL is 25 frames per second. So NTSC has marginally lower latency and a slightly higher refresh rate. PAL, on the other hand, has slightly more resolution. It's like 480 versus 525 horizontal lines. So PAL has higher resolution and a slightly lower frame rate. Honestly, I think it's a complete toss-up. I don't think blind most people could really tell the difference. Like maybe you could see a slight difference in resolution with PAL. I feel like given the choice between more resolution and more frame rate, I would take more resolution. Because in either case, it's 25 frames per second, but it's actually 50 because they're half frames. So the actual latency is more than acceptable. Both of them have very low latency, in other words. The difference between NTSC and PAL is pretty negligible. Whereas I think the difference between like 480 and 525 lines is more likely to be noticeable, although I still don't think it's very noticeable. But here's the real reason I choose PAL every time. The OSD layout is based on the number of lines of resolution. When I go to an NTSC camera, my OSD feels really cramped. And when I go to a PAL camera, I can spread the OSD out a little more. And so I always run PAL if I have the choice. So like if you look, I don't have a drone to plug in. It doesn't matter. But like I think that I take PAL because it lets you lay out the OSD a little bit more stretched out. Hotbox FPV says, I was told that the Caddx Ratel 2 has 40 millisecond latency on PAL and 20 milliseconds on NTSC. So like, yes, the other thing to take into account is that some goggles and some cameras have worse latency on PAL versus NTSC. They shouldn't, but sometimes they do. Okay? So if that's the case, go with the one that gives you lower latency. For example, the DJI V2 goggles had an analog input, an external analog input, and it performed significantly better on PAL than NTSC. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you have an analog module, like the rapid fire module or the fusion module, and you click the joystick and it pops the menu up in your goggles, that menu will either be NTSC or PAL. It's usually PAL in my experience. And so you can get a situation where if your camera is NTSC and then you bring up the menu, your goggles take a second or two to switch, and the menu is not smooth to bring up. In that case, I'd rather have a camera that matches my module so that I can bring up the menu and the goggles don't have to switch between NTSC and PAL.
Also, technically different aspect ratio, right? 5:4 versus 4:3.
Is it?
Yeah, because it adds more vertical lines, right?
Yeah, but the aspect ratio is the same. You just... No,
What,
the
squeezes
aspect
them?
ratio is the
You
same.
can't.
Yeah,
So
it
you draw
absolutely
more lines.
Yeah, because it was an electron beam. It was an electron gun, Blinty. There was
I'm
no
not talking about
pixel.
what used to happen. I'm talking about what draws in the goggles.
No, it squishes it. It absolutely squishes it. No,
Okay.
the aspect ratio is the same. It absolutely, the goggle squishes it. Right? Surely. The aspect
Okay,
ratio is
that's
4.
fair.
No. I mean, it changes the pixel aspect ratio. The physical, I don't know, and I've never thought about that before. I'm indignant at the fact that the question is even being asked, but maybe I'm wrong. Display aspect ratio, storage aspect ratio. Okay, this is not. Understanding PAL aspect ratio. No. PAL. No. No, this is... I mean... Like, I've done this so many times. I've got the goggles up. It's the camera set to NTSC. The OSD is fucked up. I change the camera to PAL. When I do that, I never see, like, the screen get wider or narrower.
Let's think about it. Let's think about it for a second then. So the sensor is 4:3, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Assume that the camera sensor is 4:3. Right. The
Like,
sensor.
what I mean is when you switch between the two, they're going to have the same sensor, right?
Correct. You still have a 4:3 image being read off the sensor. And by the way, the image that's read off the camera sensor is whatever the sensor's native resolution is. It's usually higher than PAL or NTSC. So the image comes off the sensor and it's some high resolution, right? And then it goes into the camera's circuitry, which converts it into an NTSC or PAL signal. I'm seeing references online to PAL being 5.4. I don't think this applies to NTSC. To FPV cameras, though. So there have been times in the past where PAL was 5.4 instead of 4.3. 720 by 560 is one of the PAL DVD standards. Oh, no. But again, look. It's stored on the DVD as 720 by 576, but is displayed in either 4.3 or 16:9 with anamorphic pixels. So again, the display format is never 5.4. There's just a storage format. Is that true? The storage aspect ratio, yes. So the idea is it's stored with square pixels, but it's displayed with stretched pixels to make either 4. And again, all of this goes back to displaying a scanline based feed on a pixel based display. PAL has aspect ratio. No. Okay. So yeah. But we can easily test this. We're not going to do it here on the stream. We can easily test this by getting a camera, an FPV camera that can be switched between NTSC and PAL, display the image on your goggles, switch it between NTSC and PAL, and you will see that the aspect ratio and shape and size of the image does not change. It's being stretched or squished. Go ahead, Blunty. Does that track for you? You got any problem with that?
I think I guess I'm just confused. I'm trying to think of how it draws the lines on the actual screen. Like, how does it draw? You know what I mean? Like, how are so it's not square pixels? Is that what we're saying? Like,
Correct.
they're compressed
Yep.
pixels, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, because the NTSC or PAL feed doesn't have pixels. So the signal that goes into the display is scanline based. There are no horizontal pixels. There are scan lines, and of course it's all digital at some point, right? It's going to come in analog and it's going to be digitized in some way and converted to pixels. But the idea is that you have however many lines, 480 or 525 or whatever it is, and then you have a horizontal scan line, which is then being converted into pixels, and it's converted into the right number of pixels to make a 4:3 image. And as you pointed out, Blunty, the key piece of information is that the signal coming off the sensor is 4:3. And therefore, the correct way to display it must be 4:3. Unless, as Ryan Quellet points out, there are cameras that have there are analog cameras that have a 16:9 sensor, and they compress the 16:9 image into an NTSC or PAL, and then, of course, it's stretched on the other end, and you do some anamorphic bullshit. So, like, you can have a 16:9 analog feed. But the key thing there, Blunty, I think that proves the point that the aspect ratio that's used for display is not dependent on the transmission and encoding format. We can take a 16:9 image, transmit it as an NTSC feed, and as long as at the other end we stretch it back to 16:9, it's going to look correct. We can take a 4:3 image. Yeah.
And so now help me think why do you need a different OSD in Betaflight for PAL and NTSC?
Because the position of the OSD elements vertically on screen is based on the scan line. So have you
converted already because you're coming out into the VTX?
Nope. The OSD chip is on the flight controller. The OSD chip gets an NTSC or PAL signal, and the OSD chip places the OSD elements based on the number of so you're not going to say at pixel XY. You're going to say at scanline 16, and then you're going to say 10% of the way into scanline 16, you draw this OSD element. 17% of the way into scanline 16, you draw this OSD element. And so when you go NTSC PAL, since the number of scan lines changes, the vertical position of the OSD elements changes.
And the scanline to pixel piece happens on the LCD, like on the goggle LCD piece,
Bingo.
right?
Bingo.
Like, or it goes, yeah, I can't remember what that's called, but that's the thing Carl had made, right?
Yep. So then the NTSC feed, which consists of scan lines, goes into the goggle, and the goggle is in charge of taking that scanline based feed and converting it into pixels, which it does in some clever way. But the key thing is that the aspect ratio, the correct aspect ratio at which to display the image is determined by the sensor size and the transmission of the camera. And you could take, if you think about it, Blunty, you could take a 2.35 to 1 scope image, transmit it as NTSC. The NTSC signal is aspect ratio agnostic. It has no horizontal pixels. It only has scan lines. Right? So you could take a 2.35 to 1 scope image, transmit it as NTSC, and as it comes out the other end, you would just stretch it back to 2.35 to 1, and each scan line is really long. But no one would do that.
And there's something with blanking it. We don't have to get into all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Quellet points out, thank you, Ryan, for being here. Ryan knows a thing or two about analog. For analog video, it is typically a 4:3 ratio. Where's Ryan's question? Hang on. but many analog cameras are native 16:9, like the Fat Shark Aura. Yep. Just stretch the analog video display to match the camera. Yeah, there's an interesting little quirk here. SkyZone Sky 04X and Sky 040 goggles come from the factory with the aspect ratio set to 16:9. They have a 16:9, the 1080p screen, which is 16:9, so they ship from the factory with the aspect ratio set to 16:9, and that means that if you use them with an analog camera, you will get a horizontally stretched image that looks like shit and is hard to fly. And I think that's a dumb decision. Most analog cameras today are transmitting a 4:3 image, so the goggles should be set to 4:3. And I bet there are a lot of people out there using SkyZone goggles who don't realize that they should be doing this. And they like maybe have a sense that something's weird about their image, but they've never actually like flagged what it is. So anyway, cool. That's a good conversation. I have to wonder whether, Blunty, I'm not trying to pick on you here. I have to wonder whether we should give them the bingo square Blunty is wrong because you originally thought it was 5:4 aspect ratio. You weren't real definitive about that, but I think you did think it was 5:4, and then you were like, wait a minute, when we talked about why it wasn't. Do you think we should give them that bingo square? I'm going to let you make the call.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I was wrong in my statement. Like, okay. We found out 5:4 is somewhere and then it's converted, but it doesn't really matter because, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It happens so seldom. Was Bardwell wrong at any point in there? I mean, I was like 5:4 is bullshit, and then it turned out that PAL, in fact, there is a context in which a PAL signal is interpreted as 5:4, but only for storage. Let's give them that one too. Let's both take that we were wrong. Yeah. Awesome. Does my discussion of my wife's bourbon experience count as Bardwell heavily discusses food? Or my discussion of pickles?
No, I was going to say pickles, I think, right?
Did I heavily discuss the pickles?
I guess not. You didn't go into like how much crunch you like and how sour you like them and how you make them.
I'll tell you what. Do you want to know something? Do you want to know something amazing? Hang on. I'm gonna give myself that one. Hold on. Here it comes. So there's a thing you do where when you make pickles, you put grape leaves in with the pickles, and the tannins of the grape leaves keep the pickles crunchy. And I was like, where the frick am I going to buy grape leaves? Now, you can buy grape leaves, but they're like packed in olive oil, and they're used to make dolma, which is like rice. It's a Greek food where you stuff rice in olive oil and spices and you roll it up in a grape leaf. It's delicious. That's not what I want for my pickles. I just need like raw grape leaves. And then I realized there are grape leaves growing in my yard. There are grapevines growing. They don't fruit. It's a type of grape called a frost grape. It doesn't ever fruit, but I was like, I can literally go out in my yard right now and get grape leaves, and you goddamn right I did. And there are grape leaves from my yard in those pickles right now. And I was so excited to have done that. Okay, Bardwell heavily discusses food. Done. I was like, where am I going to buy grape leaves? Gosh. And I wanted to make pickles tonight. And then I realized that, and there's this app called Seek, S-E-E-K. It runs on your phone and it uses AI to identify plants. It's a very cool app. And so I verified what type of grape it was, and then I did some Googling. Can you use frost grape leaves to make pickles? And the answer was, yeah, absolutely. And so I just ripped up some grape lines and rinsed off the leaves and put them in my pickles. That was so exciting. All right, continuing on. Drew FPV, thank you for $5. I'm planning to solar power my shed and charge and store LiPo batteries in there. Mini fridge in the summer and heater in the winter. Something to be aware of? What's to be aware of? I don't understand the question. When you end the question with something to be aware of, it feels like you have raised an issue that you want me to be aware of and to help other people be aware of it. But I don't see what that is.
I think he's asking, like, are those dangerous conditions to store a LiPo in?
Oh, I see. No, the LiPos don't perform well when they're cold, but they are not dangerous when they're cold. And for a LiPo to get hot enough to be dangerous, it would be like in a closed car where temperatures can approach, say, 130, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when, like, oh, shit might get bad. But it's really unlikely that your shed will get hot enough to make the LiPos dangerous either. Okay? If you are putting the LiPos in a mini fridge, don't do that. That's pointless. Don't do that. They're fine. Even if it gets to 100 or 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer, which is about as hot as it usually gets in the U.S., in most parts of the U.S., not all, I suppose, their LiPos will be fine. In the winter, you would want to keep the LiPos warm when you're going to use them and when you're charging them. Is the Seeker 3 a good beginner? The sub 250 Seeker 3. Thank you for $2 Australian, Jesse Hoth. Yes. That's the short answer. It's solid. Sub 250 makes good stuff. The Seeker 3s. We looked at this on the chat just the other day. Yeah. It would hurt me to pay $600 for it. And you're in Australia, so you're going to pay even more. Can you get an analog version? The 04 is why it's so expensive. Can you get the analog version? Yeah, that's more like it. $179, boy. Let's see here. Analog, LRS plus GPS. Hell yeah. 200. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. You get one of these to review. Plenty. I was just thinking I should review this. I gotta make a video. I'm gonna add to my to-do list right now before I forget about the AM32 bullshit that we were talking about. You know what I'm talking about? AM32, yes. The ramp up speed and stuff. What were the two things? It's the ramp up speed. What's the other option that gets screwed up?
Oh, the temperature threshold, the high temp, the whatever temp cutoff.
I'm probably not going to do that before I leave town. Do you know for sure what causes those things? Like, could I trigger those things intentionally for the sake of a video? You don't have to tell me.
You could also, yes, you could trigger them, and you could also go in and test the PR where there's a developer version that tries to fix it. So you could show that, like, it's being fixed.
Great.
But I would also just say, like, if you just went in and tested it and submitted the PR in like 3 days, it would probably just be fixed. I still have an AM32 to check it.
Well, if they're just going to fix it with a PR, I guess we could still call out the bug and say update the firmware.
Yes.
Because people will be affected until they update.
Yeah. No. So just to be clear, it's just people who have tried to change their melody.
Is changing the melody? What about the temp threshold? Is that triggered by the same bug?
No, it's all triggered by the melody change. Okay, so just to be clear, chat, let's just talk about it. I won't make a clip probably because it's going to be fixed, but just to be clear what we're talking about, so we're not talking over everybody. ESCconfigurator.com currently has a bug. If you use AM32 and you change your melody on 2.19 or 2.20, the newest versions of AM32. What seems to happen is that some of the settings get changed because what happened is AM32 in 2.19 changed the amount of bits for the config. So what happens is ESC configurator has to get a set of bits from AM32, do the change on the melody editor, and send them back, bytes rather. But that byte number changed, and there needs to be a change in escconfigurator.com. That change has happened on the developer version, has not been pushed to main yet. But what that means is anybody who's changed their melody currently on the normal version or has recently, they may have a bug where, and currently we're seeing it as ramp up speed goes to 0.4 to 0.1, or temperature gets set to 35. And it's just because the bytes are in the wrong place, basically. They get sent back, and then they get assigned the wrong values. This can be fixed by resetting your config in AM32, because it goes back to defaults, and defaults are good. Or it can be updating, because updates should reset your defaults, but if it doesn't, you know. But right now, the only two things I've seen changed are ramp up and temp.
And the ramp up speed is particularly problematic because it basically makes the motors super unresponsive. And so what happens is you take off and you hover, and then slowly the aircraft goes, whoa, 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 whoa. It's a really weird kind of, it's not like the freak out, and it's not like your P term is excessive where you take off and it just goes, it's like a really weird, like it's fine for 2 seconds and then slowly gets drunker and drunker. It's really distinctive. Whereas the temperature threshold, I think, I guess it can cause the ESC to go into limp mode, right?
Well, yeah, basically the temp threshold can cause a variety of problems depending on what the sensor is reporting, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's 35. So sometimes you won't hit it until you get to a certain point in the flight. Sometimes you're going to hit it from takeoff. So it really just depends.
Okay.
You can maybe put this in the video or whatever. There's also, reports, and this because the ramp up has been 0.4 from the factory a few times from what I've seen from users. They've said, hey, I haven't changed the melody, and ramp up was 0.4. But I do wonder if, in the same way, there was some factory change of a setting, and it caused the same issue right from the factory. But either way, you should know about the ramp up issue.
It sounds like it would be better if people used AM32 configurator for the AM32 ESCs. It's nice that ESC configurator supports it, but this is the official configurator for AM32, and if there's ever been an issue, I would just use this, and presumably there won't be an issue with this, right? Versus ESC-configurator, which supports this is my default because it supports everything except the LA32. So this is just usually what I use, but it sounds like I should maybe use AM32 configurator for AM32 ESCs.
Yeah, basically the only reason that ESC configurator supported it was because AM32 didn't have their own online configurator all set up. Now that that's all working, like he talks about in the PR there.
Yeah, he says I wanted to remove AM32 support entirely because you have your own configurator. So okay. Long story short, maybe I'll make a video about this, but it sounds like we've kind of covered it. Use AM32 configurator. If your AM32 ESC is being weird, check those two settings, ramp up speed and temperature threshold. And especially if you used ESC configurator to write a melody, that would cause this issue. And it'll be fixed soon. In fact, it is currently fixed on develop.esc.configurator.com, and it should be rolled out permanently by the time I get around to making a video.
I was going to say, if anybody in chat wants to go to that PR and test that developer version on their AM32 that is 2.19 or 2.20 and see if that fixes see if you get that change in settings or it is normal, please do that because that will get that pushed into the normal ESC configurator instead of develop. The other thing I'll say is normal ramp up for people that are asking is 16% is default. So you want to set that to 16%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Great. Well, maybe I'll make a video about that, but maybe we just covered it. It could be good on the main channel, I suppose. Oh. Woof. Rongabrielu asks, thoughts on the KD5 by K-Drones? Who the hell is K-Drones? Never heard of them. Maybe I'm going to learn something today. I hate it. I immediately hate it. Now, I could come around. I hate this style. No, I hate this style of frame. This style of frame is such a giant pain in the ass to put together. And what you gain in terms of stiffness from the truss-based configuration is nowhere it's not even remotely offset by what a gigantic pain in the dick it is to actually maintain the thing if and when it breaks. This is I do not want this, Sam I am. Now if you like it, more power. Hey, guys from KD5. I'm not saying like you're bad people and your frame is bad. This is your dream. You did something original. Someone out there loves it. It's not for me. I've had frames like this. They're getting all the fucking screws. Getting all the screws. Look, you got these captive nuts. I've built frames like this before. It all goes together. It's a giant pain in the ass. You get it all together. You crash it, something breaks, and then you're pulling 57 freaking screws. Your whole thing's coming apart. Like, what's going to happen if, like, let's say I break any part of this carbon fiber. Do you see that if any part of this top plate breaks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws all come out. It comes off. Woof.
You missed 4 or 8 screws because you got to do the edges too, the like motor.
Oh yeah. Oh, got to take these standoffs off. Jesus Christ. What a nightmare.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Pretend that you didn't care about taking it apart or repairing
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Do you think it is more protecting of motors? Do you think it is going to crash better than another frame?
Objectively, it is offering more protection to the motors because of the way that this goes around the motor. So there are going to be situations where you would have hit the motor bell and instead you hit the frame and it protects the motor. I think that's a fact, right? Now, can you get similar protection by having a traditional arm with a horn on it? I would argue there's some degree of protection there, although not as much, because this is protecting from the top and the bottom. So this is more protective, yes. Is it stiffer? Perhaps. Like, objectively, a truss-based structure is stiffer per unit weight, but, like, I'm going to guess that, like, a 6mm carbon is also stiff. Like, so, like, maybe you get some benefits in terms of stiffness to weight. Perhaps. But like, let's say, Blunty, let's say I want to install a different receiver, or I need to do any maintenance on the electronics. Like, how do I maintain this? Even if I didn't break the frame, do I have to take the whole top plate or the whole bottom plate off to maintain it? Like, how do I get in here to do the most basic of maintenance? It looks to me like I have to disassemble the entire top plate, take freaking 20 screws out just to get at my flight controller to do the most basic of maintenance. Kill me.
Two things
Go ahead.
I was going to say I've noticed is one is in that previous picture, it looked like the camera was sticking out.
Yeah, so also guys from KD5, KDD drones, whoever. Your frame with the truss structure, that's like, hey, it's not for me, but someone probably loves it, and there are probably some engineering advantages to it. So maybe there's this camera design. There is no excuse for this. Go, you punch yourself in the face one time, and then you get yourself squared away and you do it better. This is unacceptable. Put your camera hanging out here. That's going to be ripped off and destroyed in the first crash. And if it's an 04 air unit, it's going to be a $100 camera. This was just laziness on your part when you designed the frame. You should feel bad about this. The rest of it, no, don't feel bad. We just differ. This camera mount, you should feel bad. You should have done better. And, like, do it better next time. The camera needs more protection than this. This is unacceptable. Okay.
The other thing Crom points out is that if you damage the top plate from
really
crashing the motors,
yeah,
then if you break the carbon is going to cost more or the same as a motor. Like, it feels like you probably want the motor to take the damage, right?
What do you mean the carbon costs more or as much as the motor? Because he looked up like you think a top plate's $20?
Cost?
I don't know.
I mean, it's probably. right?
I don't know. I mean, you're right. It's 140. Whoa. 140 euros. Jesus Christ. What the How do you mount the battery? Does it have a bottom mounted? It's a bottom mounted battery. Okay, fine. Nah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if it's 140 euros for the whole frame, the top plate's probably 25 bucks. I'd rather fucking break a motor. Yeah. No. Yeah. What's the advantage of this? The advantage has to be that you get more stiffness and rigidity for less weight. Right? That has to be it. KD5 is only for advanced builders. Well, I guess I'm not one of those. What's the weight? It doesn't say. Yeah. I like that they publish the STLs. I appreciate that. It doesn't have the weight. $95 grams without the action camera mount. I want the weight of the frame, though. Mark V DC frame. Fine. That's with all the 3D prints, but let's just get a comparison. Weight, 165 grams. So it is substantially lighter. Now, granted, that's with let's say you're saving 50 grams, roughly. Maybe a little more. Maybe a little less. Let's generously say that you're saving 50 grams. So you've got a 5-inch frame. Let's concede for the sake of argument that it has approximately the same durability, or maybe a little better durability. I don't know, because like this looks like maybe 2.5 millimeter carbon, maybe 2 millimeter. I would guess 2.5. I don't think it's 3, just from eyeballing it. So the truss structure means that the arm may be stronger than like 6 millimeter carbon. But like this outer part here isn't. That's still just 2 millimeter carbon. It's going to take this hit. You've got an M2 screw and you've got 2 to 3 millimeter carbon, right? How strong is that really going to be? So I'm not sure that you've increased durability, but you have increased stiffness to weight. So let's say you've saved 50 grams over the course of the build. But boy, you made a lot of compromises to get there. I don't think this is like a freestyle drone. I think it's a camera drone. And maybe it's good at that, since camera drones aren't intended to crash hard. But you got to protect the camera better, guys. The FPV cam hanging out like that is inexcusable. That's just like, hey, it was Friday, we were ready to go home for the weekend, and somebody was like, why don't we just... Like, I've done that when I have a frame and it won't fit my camera, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm only going to do one flight. I just need to get this flight done. And I just turn the camera mounts backwards and hang the camera out the front. But, like, I would never actually have turned in my work with that as my choice of how to design it. Joseph Dahari says that's probably 2 millimeter carbon and it's countersunk. So it's going to be even weaker. All right, enough about that. Thank you, Jake Brown, for £2. I'm buying digital for a 5-inch. What system would you buy? DJI? DJI. Like, I mean, just if you ask me, no waffling, no if this, then that, DJI. Hands down. DJI is similar in price to Walksnail and has better performance. It has, in the USA, it has worse availability. Walksnail has broader capabilities. Walksnail has a high-powered long-range video transmitter. Walksnail has a low-light camera. Walksnail, so like, but if all I want to do is just slap a camera on my drone and do cinematic or freestyle stuff, DJI, no question. I wish the CCP paid me for this answer. I wish. Yeah. I would take their money. I mean, I would still give if someone wants to pay me to say the thing that I was going to say anyway, I think we could all agree that that is morally better than saying something you don't believe because you got paid. Right? I mean, it's morally the best to not take any money whatsoever. But, like, that's just my answer. Is 04 Pro worth it over the standard? I think that's less true now that the 04 Lite has the wide angle. The main problem with the 04 Lite was the narrow camera angle, and the wide pretty much fixes that. It's still less durable, though. The 04 Pro is significantly more durable. So that's a tough one. Somebody asks, did anybody ask him about the new analog whoop? I don't know. Blunty, did that whatever Nick Burns teased the other day, has that dropped yet? I don't know what Nick Burns was. Nick Burns posted a video. It was like, "Don't buy a whoop. I can't tell you why. Something big is coming. Do not buy a whoop."
He said it was delayed. So.
Oh, well, there you go. I have no idea what it is. I'm not being cagey. I have no idea what it is. Nobody tells me anything. Get Reckles, thank you for 500 RSD. Hey, DJI devs, instead of doing nothing, how about you add OSD or video feed loss failsafe implementation? Video often drops before RX loss, making it more useful to have the option to set in beta flight. That's... Okay, so first of all, DJI devs are not going to do that. They're working on their own shit. Here's the interesting thing. I do think the digital video transmitters can report their bit rate to Betaflight. Betaflight has an OSD element, which is bit rate. Now, most of the time it doesn't work because the digital video transmitter doesn't send the data. But I do think it's possible that it could. And so if the video transmitter can report bit rate to Betaflight, then Betaflight could implement failsafe on video loss. That's very interesting. I wouldn't want it, though. No, Blunty?
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
That's where I was going to go. I wouldn't want it. Thank you.
You have a radio. Flip the switch.
Yeah. So when I lose video, I still have control of the aircraft. I can choose to try to keep flying if I think that's safe. I can choose to flip to angle mode and climb above the trees if I think that's safe. I can choose to hit disarm or return to home. As long as I have a controller in my hand and I have a control link, I will make the decisions about what the drone should do. I would never turn on the ability to have it automatically fail-safe when I lose video. It should only fail-safe when I no longer have control of the aircraft. Also, hang on. I personally witnessed Alex Vanover. We were at a Rotor Riot shoot. I wish I could remember the video because it's probably in the video. We were at a Rotor Riot shoot and he was doing up on the side of a warehouse. He was kind of like doing surfing type moves where you kick up the wall, you sort of pop off the top of the lip and then pop down. And he goes toward the wall, he jumps up, and as he crests the top of the lip, he loses video for some reason. And in the time it took the drone to go from here to here, he lifted his goggles, he got line of sight, he flipped it into whatever, he took control and he flew it back line of sight. It was superhuman. It was like I might as well have just watched a Cirque du Soleil acrobat do a quadruple backflip. In the middle of that freestyle line, he just popped his goggles up, grabbed it, took control, flew it back line of sight. You can fly a drone without video, line of sight. So, nope, I wouldn't want that. I wish I could remember what video that was. I know right where we were. I can picture the site. I just can't remember what we were working on that day. Yeah. It was me, Vanover. I think we did, I don't know how much of this made it into the final video. We did ghost riding the whip with your drone. Blunty, you know what ghost riding the whip is?
A drone, I don't know, but I know what it is on a car.
What is it in a car?
It's where you get out, get out the car, walk and steer. Look
No.
on your face like you sipping bitter beer.
Is that what you do? That's a lyric, I assume.
Yes.
I didn't know the lyric.
That's from a song called Sideshow by Mr. Fab, Too Short and Tracks a Million.
Oh, we're learning things. I would not have pegged you as a Sideshow. I don't know who Sideshow is, but that's interesting. Thank you. Yeah, you get out of the car and you dance alongside the car as the car is. So what we decided you would do is you would set the drone up and the drone is moving and you would walk next to the drone. I don't think you had to set the controller down. I think you were just hands off the controller. So your hands off the controller, you're walking next to the drone and it's going. I think I remember doing that day, although I don't know if it made it into the video. Chef Bruno, it's not a Ladrib video. It's a Rotor Riot video for sure. Anyway, maybe somebody can find it. Skydozer remembers the video. He says PDev was there. I do think PDev was there. It might have been when we were in Seattle. We were making a video about some new product or something. I'll never find it. It'll never find it. Nah. I'll never find it. Okay. Thank you, Phoenix Fire, for a $10 super chat. I'm looking into getting a Whoop. The HGLRC Petrol has caught my eye. Can you talk me in or out of buying this model? I don't know a lot about the HGLRC Petrol, but most people, when they buy a Whoop in this size class, they're going to buy the Beta FPV Meteor 75 or the Happy Model Mobula 75. The Petrol might be good, but it's a relative unknown, and so it would need to do something compelling to convince me to get it over the known quantity that everybody recommends. So I would steer you away from it because it's a relatively unknown quantity. Is it particularly inexpensive? No. Is it got some performance thing that makes it stand out? I don't think so. So I would steer you toward the Meteor 75 or the Mobula 75 because those are the known quantities that are good and reliable, and this one doesn't have anything compelling to pull me away from it. All right. Spidermouth, thank you for a $10 super chat. Just want to say I built my Moz 7 after asking about it a few streams ago. It's my favorite quad. Light batteries like 1700 LiPo rips. Awesome. Awesome. I'm a big fan of the Moz 7. Blue Sky asks, does HDLRC make reasonable stuff in general? Yes. In general, HDLRC stuff is reasonable and sometimes is good. Shut up! DC! DC used AI to find the Rotor Riot video. Should have used AI. The iconic moment where Alex Vanover suffers complete video loss and successfully flies back line of sight happens in this video. Let's see if we can find it.
Yeah. Done like this.
Jazz hands.
No. We don't do that here.
I'm saying them.
So we are here at the 3-hole spot. That's what I call it. Even though I think there are...
This is not a day I was there. I mean, he may also do it in this video. We have a timestamp?
Are more than 3 holes at this spot. This spot is in Southern California and it's one of my favorites.
I do like this spot. This is a great
on a
spot.
slope and this is flat.
I don't see Vanover at all in this video. There he is. I'm going to assume this music is okay. I don't know, or Rotorite wouldn't be using it. Let's watch some Vanny. Whoops. Hey Vanover, get that, what's it, you can't see shit in here. Get that ND off of there. I've seen him do better. Yeah.
It's good durability testing. You can protect it.
How's it going?
Okay. Okay, so
It's not the end of the world. That the last spot. Flying here, flying.
Bubby, PDev, Bubby. Nah, I don't think it's in this
I
video.
pop up like through here. I do this like double flip up,
Oh.
and like I'm intentionally like not lined up to sink back through it. So I do a half backflip like this, just like knowing I'm either gonna stick it on the roof or get through it. And it was like the perfectly straight, cleanest back.
I don't think I, but I so why can't I aim? I'll chase through my spot.
I just decided to try and dive straight into the thing on the roof.
Hey, you. I don't know. See, real deep. It looks so fast.
Really had
Yeah.
is wedged in the building.
I don't think it's in here. I could be wrong. I think AI screwed us and wasted our time. It's in the beginning. You sure? Oh, that's it. No, that's it. This is the one. That was the wrong video. Fuck you, AI. How to wall ride. Oh, so good.
it's actually a wall ride. A wall ride is.
Is there a timestamp? Is there a timestamp? In the beginning. What does the timestamp me?
taken from skateboarding of it.
Quarter of not that easy. What's fun about it is that core and then 90 degree and you want it back, you can if you're a little bit
already send it flying it.
We're gonna get told how we could do it better.
Hey, that's the same shirt I'm wearing right now.
it's part of it's constructive criticism, Bardwell, okay?
I think
If there's one thing about these pilots is that they are good at being gentle and constructive and not too critical.
Listen up. The entire FPV community they suck at wall rides.
Seaports really actually can't 100 frames.
If I can even do it decent.
That was a good wall ride, Alex.
that was a good wall ride. What makes it a good wall ride?
I feel like the longer you can ride the wall makes it pretty good. And also if you're really smooth at it too.
It's tough because your
That wasn't
props
a
are
very good one.
constantly pulling you.
Have the wall be it back. Okay, and
Oh,
then your
there
opinion,
it is.
A bad wall ride would be like okay, and then your quad just goes black.
Whoa.
And then you line of sight it back with no sunglasses.
Videos back.
That was incredible. I've never seen anybody do that. People talk about that.
That was incredible.
I've never seen it before. That was.
And we're back.
I guess you shouldn't tap the wall then.
Yeah, right. We'll just tap it gently.
Tap it.
Let me see if I can do one more good one.
Tap the wall.
I wish we could see the drone perspective.
It's fun to tap the wall, but you don't want to like slam into it. Like in my opinion, a bad wall ride would be like okay, and then your quad just goes black.
Oh, you do see him level it out. You do see him level it out. Ready? Right?
And then your
There. Right there, he levels it out.
quad just goes black.
Whoa.
And
then you line
grabs
sight
it.
it back.
What?
It looks like he leveled it out. Either blind before he lifted the goggles, or he leveled it out before he lost video. I don't know.
Okay, and then your
Look at Bardwell's face.
just goes black.
Whoa.
And then you line of sight it back.
Oh yeah,
Like those
I'm like, the
sunglasses.
fuck?
Videos
That
back.
is.
Yeah, I was watching the feed from his goggles and I saw the video go out. I was like, oh. All right. He didn't angle mode. He did not angle mode it. By the way. He did not angle mode it. He could see from the way it levels out that was manual. Thanks for finding that, chat. Surely. How FPV wasn't it now? Bardwell watches a freestyle video? Probably counts. How am I not going to get a bingo from that? Yeah, damn.
We are not seeing the bingo screen.
Oh, shit. See? Bardwell brings up the wrong scene.
You also
We
mentioned
did-
the Discord earlier.
We mentioned the Discord. We mentioned the Discord a lot. We also mentioned the Clips channel when we were talking about the AM32 bug. Whether we would put it out on the Clips channel or not. Still no bingo, though. All right.
Does that K-Drones page count as the FPV store page?
Oh, for sure. Good point. FPV store. Yep, got it. There's frame question. I don't think I have frame question. That is a... Yeah, that is... I need to wheel my chair to the cabinet and I'll get a bingo. Too bad I have no reason to do that. Take the goggles HD0 V2 out of the equation. What will be your second analog goggle choice? Thank you for $4.99, Julio Callejas. Skyzone Skyo 4X. There you go. Skyo 4X is a very, very solid goggle. It doesn't have some of the refinement of the HD0. But it's a solid analog goggle. It would be my second choice. Let me show you something cool. I'm going to tease you guys. This is about a product that isn't released yet. I'm going to show you something cool. I got to find the clip. Ryan Quellet, are you here? You still here? Let's try this one. I'm going to mute this. I got to mute this, though, because I don't want you to hear the audio. Okay, let me make sure this is the right. Yeah, it's right. So check this out. How am I doing this? I went back and I revisited the 3.3 gigahertz versus 5.8 gigahertz testing. Look in the upper right. Do you see I'm on channel race 8? I bet it starts a new clip every time I switch. That's a little annoying. Well, we'll find out, I guess. Okay, so I'm flying around this car park. Testing my range. Just get yourself dialed in for how good or bad my video is. Notice I'm at 400 milliwatts, by the way. 400 milliwatts. Intentionally keeping the power low to emphasize the effect. 400 milliwatts. I'm talking... Ah, struggle bus. What just happened? Wait a minute. I am on 3.3 gigahertz channel 4. Do you see that? I've switched to 3.3 gigahertz. And what I remember thinking is it's a little better. 3.3 gigahertz. See, look in the upper right. Watch the upper right. 3.3 gigahertz. How did I do that? I'm not going to tell you. Oh, 3.3 gigahertz. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Oh, 5.8 gigahertz. Oh, 0.8 gigahertz, 3.3 gigahertz. Oh, isn't that interesting? So, here's what's interesting about this. Wait 1 second. When I last tested 3.3 gigahertz and 5.8 gigahertz, my experience was that 3.3 was not really better. It was kind of the same, maybe a little worse. Here's the difference. I changed video receivers, and this one was way better. So this is Rush FPV. The original one I was using was the GEP RC. And with this video receiver, I found that 3.3 gigahertz was consistently just a little better than 5.8, which is what I would expect. Just a little better, but consistently just a little better. So I think the GEP RC VRX is not that good. But as for the question of how I was switching back and forth between 5.8 and 3.3, we're going to have to hold off on that. That will happen. You'll find out about that in the next couple weeks, probably. Hey, Bat Boy! I got it working! Using our advice. Yay! I thought you guys would kind of be happy to know that I was able to revisit that question and get things working as expected, which what was expected would be that 5.8, the 3.3 would be just a little better because of the lower frequency. That will come out in a video soon. I got a super chat here from Jesse Godsey. Thank you for $5. Just getting into this hobby from flying RC helicopters. Well, you're going to be a great pilot immediately. If you can fly RC helis, flying FPV drones is going to be very intuitive to you. Can you recommend a good 5-inch setup for me? Complete. I want good video and distance if possible. Money No Object, I would probably have you get the DJI Goggles 3 and the GEP RC Vapor 5 with the DJI O4 Air unit. As for a controller, what I would have you do is I would have you watch this video about the Radio Master. The best Radio Master for you is Buyer's Guide 2026. Go through this video, see which of these radios looks the best to you, and get that one. For most people, I would say the TX15 Max would if I had to pick one, I would say the TX15 Max would be probably the best choice. The TX16 is overkill for a lot of people in terms of size and capabilities. If you are coming from the helicopter world and you're used to a great big honking controller, the TX16 may feel more familiar and a little more premium, but the TX15 is probably more, as much as you need. Yeah, Blunty.
Pyrodrone posted a preview of a new radio on their Instagram. So I was wondering if maybe he should consider that radio instead, or if you have any knowledge of that.
Well, let's have a look. What did Pyrodrone tease on Instagram? Where are you seeing this, Blunty?
I think it's Instagram. Hold on.
Is it Facebook, maybe?
Can we send me a link to that?
Yeah, link
I know
us.
they posted a picture of it.
It is in the tittus, as they say on the Lonely Island podcast.
Somebody's been listening to Lonely Island. Yeah.
All the time, baby. All the time.
It was on their story.
I don't know what Instagram is. I don't know how to Instagram. So you say it's on their story. Where is their story? What is
I'm not sure
nothing
if you can
is?
do without being logged in. Normally, you click on their face up there.
I hate Instagram so much. Okay, well, this isn't.
He says it's gone now.
Oh. Okay, Blenty. Okay, I see. Here it is. Somebody's got a screenshot. So Pyrodrone posted this. Wait, right.
Yeah.
Pyrodrone posted this.
My understanding.
Radio Master GX15. Oh. Coming soon. I assume that's a new radio from Radio Master, and they took it down because it's under embargo. Hold on. Please publish your review video content on or after the time and date listed above. No early exposure of any kind is permitted before this time. Please do not discuss or show the product in any live streams before the official release date, and avoid any mentions or visuals that could reveal the product. Radio Master reserves the right to end our partnership if you are found to be in violation of any of the above terms. Yeah, that sounds right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for that to come out to find out more information about it. Is this breaking the embargo? I'm not breaking the embargo. I didn't share any information. Reposting that somebody else leaked a product is not breaking the embargo. I didn't show it. I showed a screenshot of Pyrodrone showing it. So, no. I didn't break the embargo. I would never do that. Go watch that video. There's plenty of good radios in that video. That's what I would steer you towards. When you say a good 5-inch setup complete, there is no complete setup that includes a charger and batteries and everything. You're going to have to piece it out a little bit, but that's where I would start. Blenty. Definitely. Tag that question. Here's a $5 super chat from Flying Tacos. Thoughts on the new TBS gimbals? Am I the only one who wishes TBS would make a Tango 3 instead of just releasing some gimbals? So, I don't... my thoughts about the TBS Tango gimbals are that my TBS Tango gimbals have taken a shit, and now my Tango is several years old. I got it maybe a year after it first came out, so like they've lasted a long time. But they're unusable. They won't calibrate, so I could use some new gimbals. Maybe I'll try these new gimbals. As far as the Tango 3... TBS is probably working on the Tango 3 right now. And it's probably been in development and gonna come out anytime now for the last year and hasn't come out. That's just how they operate. I assume that Trappy has had prototypes of the Tango 3 on his desk for 2 years now. Go ahead, Blenty.
Didn't Trappy tease a Tango 3 on a couch stream like a month ago or something? Can somebody in chat
maybe
verify my reminder of that?
Yeah. The thing is, when will it finally come out? No one knows. The chat thinks that I teased the GX12 on stream. They think I opened the box of the GX12 and teased it on stream. That's purely in your head. I opened a box on stream. There was something in it. You don't know what it was.
No, he's saying TBS teased the Tango on the couch.
Oh, I'm sorry. People are also talking about me opening a box on the stream. Sorry, there were two different things. Bardwell was wrong. Boogman32, is the Orca FPV-1 Pilot still the top dog of analog over the HDO Plus? I mean, I would take the Orca over the HDO Plus if you could still get the Orca reasonably. Like, I don't know how much Orca is selling to the hobby market versus the NDAA government market. I've heard there is display latency on new Fat Sharks and best goggle antennas. Blunty, do you remember if Fat Sharks are affected by the latency problem? The newest one?
I don't think they were in any way that's that big of a deal, but I'm not sure.
Well, you know what he's asking, though. Did they have the latency that Niels Vo complained about?
I don't. Not in a way that like SkyZone did. They had their goggles.
FPV goggle latency test. Let's double check. Cameras with no camera latency. Graph. Explainer. Cameras. Cameras. Forget cameras. Okay. Fat Shark HDO2 Plus with rapid fire is very, very good. It's actually slightly better than the Orca. So no, the Fat Shark HDO2 Plus. Oh shit! I'm sorry, Blunty. Thank you. Niels Vo measured the Fat Shark at 8 milliseconds, tied with the HD0 Goggle 2, and the Orca only slightly slower by 1 millisecond, which probably is within the margin of error. I don't know. Maybe it's not. So no, Orca does not beat Fat Shark for latency. It beats it for features. But again, how, like, stop that bullshit. I did not type that. You auto-completed that. Orca FPV-1 Pilot. In stock. Okay. Is it in stock? Yes, you could buy it right now. There is no world in which I would pay $800 for the FPV-1 Pilot when I could buy the HD0 goggles for basically that same price, $749. No world. This goggle is dead at this price. This is a better goggle a better analog goggle in like every way. Okay, it doesn't have diversity. Fine. In every other way. There's no world in which this should be an $800 goggle. No world. Especially because it doesn't come with a module. You're going to pay another $100 for a module. You're going to pay $900. No. This product is dead. Do not buy it. Fat Shark HDO2. I hate Fat Shark's naming.
Yeah, they have an HDO2 and an HDO Plus.
Well, which is it? The HDO2 is the older... Oh, that's the older goggles. Ah, okay, hold on. Let's check the latency. I don't want the graph explainer, I just want the graph. Where's the Fat Shark? Okay. Fat Shark HDO2 and Fusion Fat Shark HDO1. Did he test the HDO Plus?
Yes.
Where is it on the
list?
Down
20. It's down on the 23.
Oh, that's not great. It's not the worst. That's worse. Fat Shark HD3. Fat Shark HDO Plus. Okay. So the Fat Shark HDO, okay, I take it back. The Fat Shark HDO Plus has significantly worse latency than the Orca. However, 23 milliseconds is still not, like, that bad. But it is worse than the Orca.
I mean, you shouldn't be buying Fat Shark goggles.
I mean, I agree. They're pretty basic goggles. How much are they? HDO Plus.
There's just no world in which... There's no world
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh God, well, fine. It's the NDAA version. So, but oh God, $1,000 for this basic bitch 5-year-old goggle. Shut the fuck up. Excuse me. HDO Plus, please not the NDAA version. How much is that? Okay, $600. Fine. $600 for those goggles is not preposterous. It's out of stock. It's like, still, when you consider that for that plus a rapid fire module, I could get the HD0, the HD0 goggles for $50 more. There's no world in which you should even think about buying this. But it's like, it's not on its face a ridiculous amount of money to ask for the goggles. But like, this is a freaking, like the same goggle you were getting 5 years ago, just slightly updated with a new display or something. Like, forget about it. Motion JPEG AVI compression for your DVR. Go to hell. That's insulting. Fat Shark, update your, like stop phoning it in. I've had this rant. I've been doing the same rant for 10 years. There's no excuse. You got the same DVR board in there that you had 5 years ago. Like give a shit. Give any shits about improving your product and making a quality product. Look at what HD0 has done. Carl, the whole operating system, HDMI in, HDMI out, HDMI recording, proper digital recording of the feed. My DVR was switching inputs. Do you know when it was switching between 3.3 and 5.8 in that video I showed you? The goggle was switching between the internal analog receiver and the AV input. And the DVR just seamlessly tracked it all. Like, there's so much that these goggles do, and someone had to sit down and write the code to do it, and they did it. Fat Shark, you've had 10 years. Nah. Just take the same goggle. Oh, sorry. I'm not even looking at the right goggle. This is the HDO 2.1. Sorry, my bad. How could I have confused it with the HDO Plus? I don't know. I need the Office meme with her, you know, Pam from The Office, and she's like, they're the same picture. God damn, I never get tired of this rant at Fat Shark. Like, why would they give a shit? They could just keep charging $600 for the same thing. They could charge $1,000 for the NDAA version. And someone from the Army is like, oh, I got some FPV goggles. These are real good. And Fat Shark's just fucking writing checks, cashing checks. Jesus Christ. Hey, everybody from the government who's watching this, the Army, whatever, all you NDAA people, this goggle is a piece of shit. Don't buy it. Oh, I'm pissing somebody off right now. Somebody at Unusual Machines is very upset with me. I'm sorry. It's a piece of shit. I'm not even because it's $1,000, because everything is expensive when you mark it up. If I go to Divimath's website and I look for the Divimath NDAA goggle, it's $1,300. That's way more than the HD0 goggle, which is not the same goggle. Because they're you know, this is made in Malaysia and that's made in China or whatever. I don't know. But like, they're very similar goggles in a lot of ways, right? So you would expect them to be similar in price. This also has the NDAA markup. This is a better goggle. You should buy this goggle. If you're doing any kind of procurement for the military, if you're doing any kind of contracting, don't buy this goggle. Don't buy the Fat Shark HDO Plus. If you have any say in it, here's what you do. When you write the requirements, I know how it works. You're not allowed to say that you want the Divimath goggle. If you have the option to say in your RFQ that you want the Divimath goggle, that is what you should do. This is the best analog goggle you can get. It is so feature rich. It is so good. The only thing it doesn't have that you might want is diversity, and I don't think that's as big a deal as people think it is. I'm saying, for an analog goggle, you're like, but I don't want the HD0 system. I don't want the Divimath digital FPV system. Or if you do, great. It's the analog goggle you should buy. What you do is you put in your RFQ that it has to have HDMI input and HDMI output, and it has to be able to record the HDMI or something, right? You put in a feature that the Divimath goggle has. You put that it has a comb filter, right? Oh, the requirements for this goggle is that it can record from the HDMI input and it has a comb filter. And then only the HD0 goggle meets the requirements of the RFQ, right? That's how you do it. I don't know. You figure it out. For $300 more, it's a slap in the face that Fat Shark is selling this stupid goggle that hasn't changed meaningfully in 10 goddamn years. And they deserve to feel the pain for it. And finally, maybe they'll feel the pain. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to get a call. You don't understand. No, we've made them so much better, Bardwell. Let us send them to you, and you'll understand how much better they are once you see them. I don't think so. I'm very, very skeptical. You didn't update the mold. You didn't update the injection mold. It's the same shell. What else did you do? Anyway. All right. Well, that's my once every 3 years reminder that Fat Shark refuses to innovate and ranting about it. It's got a new spin this time in that I tried to ruin their ability to get government contracts. Let's see here. How did that... let's see here. Unusual machines. No, they're still doing okay. No, well. I shorted UMAC before I did that little rant. That's I didn't. That's a joke. Oh my God. Blunty, I want you to put that on the live stream clips. I sincerely want, and I don't have a dog in this fight. Like, I don't make money from HD0. It hurts me when lazy, shitty products get bought by people who don't know better. UMAC and Fat Shark and Rotor Riot, I guarantee you they're going to these military units. FPV is starting to disperse through the military, more the drone dominance thing. There are a whole bunch of military units who have no exposure to FPV, and it is a feeding frenzy of companies trying to sell them stuff and get that first flush of money before everybody figures out who is actually good and who is shitty. And it hurts me to think of these people and they show up and they're like, oh, here's your FPV stuff, guys. And some of the stuff is probably good. And some of the stuff is these crappy ass goggles. And they're just paying $1,000 for 500 units, $1,000, $5 million before. And they're not like they're okay, but like they're not good. They could have good. The people who, and it hurts me. And I really would like somebody at that unit in the Army or whoever, the Marines, who is a little bit switched on to come across this live stream clip and go, I don't want these shitty goggles. I want the good goggles. And I want them, and I legitimately mean this. I want Fat Shark to lose sales because I'm making this rant. I want them to lose sales to Divimath, not HD0. Divimath and HD0 are different. Divimath is NDAA. HD0 is not. That's in China. That China bad. HD0 bad. Divimath. I want Fat Shark and UMAC to lose at least a few sales because I made this rant. Sincerely. Because ultimately, I want people who make good products to be rewarded with money, and people who make lazy, shitty products to feel pain that causes them to make better products. Honestly, this is not even... FTFO Media says JB is correct, trying to prevent crap from getting in the hands of service members. Honestly, it's not even about that. Like... This is not even like, yes, okay, would I like, in principle, would I like American service members to have good stuff? Sure. This is just about the same rage that I feel over how lazy Fat Shark has been for a decade or more, that they're still getting away with the same laziness. This time, they're $5 million from some military contract, $10 million. I don't know. I'm making up those numbers. Instead of selling crap to hobbyists that they refuse to improve, now they're going to do it on a bigger scale. It's like, he can't keep getting away with it, is how I feel. Okay. All right, enough. Let's, we're 10 minutes over time because I was so caught up in that rant. Thanks for sticking with me, Blunty. Sorry, Siati, for going over. Mad Perfect, $5 super chat. In terms of hardware, what's the best way to increase range with the Pavo 2.0 Pro plus the TX15? Add Express LRS module to TX15 and change O4 air unit antenna. ELRS, the Pavo 2.0 Pro with the TX15. The TX15 has good range. Why would you add an external module to the TX15? That doesn't make sense. The TX15 goes up to 1 watt, right? Yeah, the TX15 is more than enough control link. Change the O4 air unit antenna. I'm not even sure that'll help. Yes, the Pavo 2.0 has the little whip antennas. The whip antennas work better than you'd think. My first... Yeah, Valenti.
Sorry, I would just say from the question, you don't know which is the problem. Like you've asked if you need to upgrade both, right? So it seems like you're not having like a specific issue, like a video or range issue. I bet it goes farther than you think it does, and I bet you don't want to go as far as you think you do. In most cases, I think that's the answer for most people. I would just say that.
Yeah. Get Reckles. The TX15 doesn't support Gemini X, but Gemini X won't help as much as you think. You should get so much range. Like, first of all, are you losing video or control first? If you're losing control, turn down from like 1,000 or 500 packets per second, turn it down to like 250, and that'll increase you should be able to outrun your video all day long with that radio. You should not need to change that radio whatsoever. And then, as far as the air unit, like the DJI air unit gets spectacular range. Have you unlocked it? Like, I would be looking at performance, we'll be looking at configuration issues that are hurting your range more than hardware. Even those little whip antennas on the Pavo are not as bad as it seems like they would be. Michael Montalvo, thank you for a $10 super chat. I got one of your 5-inch drone kits with the O3. I was trying to do S-Bus for ELRS. Everything's working on Betaflight, but when the battery plugs in, I get no radio connection. It only works on USB. My guess is usually you lose connection when the battery is plugged in.
It's because you...
yeah. He's doing ELRS.
Yeah.
Go. Tell him, Blunty.
Yes. So you need to remove the S-Bus wire from the O3 air unit. The reason it happens is because when you power up with the battery, you power up the O3 air unit, that sends signal down the S-Bus wire, and it's having a confliction with the S-Bus for ELRS.
Yeah. I didn't, he said he was doing S-Bus, so in my head he was doing the RC controller. Yeah, so remove the yellow wire from the O4 air, from the O3 air unit harness. That'll fix it. DPM Cali, thank you for £5. Have the improvements to dynamic power on ELRS 4.x made it worth running dynamic power? Yes, I would run it, and I do recommend it. It's significantly... The main reason I didn't like it was that you would see the LQ go down, 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 and up, and down, 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 and up, and they have fixed that. Roz Trent, am I right, Blunty? Kalai. Roz Trent, Lonely Island reference. Good. Jesse Gotzi, thank you for $5. Feedback, please. Droneer X501. Don't leave any more super chats. We're wrapping up. No more super chats, please. Unless they're $100, and then I'll accept it. The Droneer X501 FPV drone. What the fuck is this? Well, it sure does have a lot of plastic. It's apparently someone's #1 choice. I love that it has BLS 32. So it's BL Heli S 32. If I'm reading that correctly, that's not a thing. Carbon frame, good. Aluminum lens guard, good. 7mm arms, good. 04 Pro, fine. A lot of plastic on here kind of turns me off. It's hard to comment on. I can't really see anything to comment on. How much is it? $500. Nope. Skip it. Like, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't have enough information to know, so I would go with something proven. $319 for analog.
Just a quick recommendation. We've already plugged it once, but the Clips channel as well. After we get done discussing here, if you go to the FPV Clips channel and just scroll back a little bit, we have videos from other drones like 5 inches that we've reviewed. JB talks about pros and cons. Like, I think just like a few weeks ago, we did one where he compares a bunch of 5-inch freestyle drones.
Where's the Vapor? Can you get the Vapor with analog? Yeah, you can. Vapor X5 analog. Express LRS receiver, $236. Excellent, excellent drone in every way. $100, $80 cheaper than this thing, which is an unknown quantity. Don't buy it. This is for people who don't know any better. It could be an okay product. It's probably at best a mediocre product compared to something made by Geparcy, who has just years of experience making FPV drones really good. So don't buy the unknown mediocre product for more money compared to the known. That's a great price. If that comes into the US without a freaking tariff, it's an amazing price. I'll buy one right now. It's such a good price. I'm not going to buy one. Thank you, Render FPV, for $10. He says, have a drink on me. Okay. There we go. Happy stream, guys. As a reminder, I will not be here Monday. I'm going to the DARPA Lift Challenge. I hope you guys will tune into the live stream and see what's going on. I will not be back next weekend, but if you look at my YouTube channel, you could just go to my YouTube channel. I know no one ever actually goes to a person's channel. We just let the algorithm send us content. If you go to the live tab, the next streams are already scheduled for August 16th and 17th, and we will continue after that, but that's when I'll be back. Thank you, Plenty. Thanks for sticking around. We're way over time. Thank you, Plenty, for sticking around. Thank you guys as well. Bye, everybody.
Bye.